Kubumbana insimbi yesikhombisa ekusena nginivusele nginamukela ehlelweni Kusile breakfast show nilulethelwa ngumsakazo wetithombe Eswatini TV. I am Sifiso Nxumalo. Today is a special day for the Kingdom of Eswatini. It is His Majesty King Mswati III's 55th birthday. And from myself and the whole Kusile breakfast show crew, we join the rest of the nation in wishing His Majesty a happy birthday. Sithi khula mlisa, khula mbangazitha. And on that note of honoring and recognizing His Majesty's birthday, His Majesty King Mswati III disclosed during the official opening of the 5th session of the 11th Parliament, Kutsi Livela Kangwane will have a double celebration of his birthday as well as the independence of Eswatini nanayoke lehlanganisa iminyaka leng 55 years. We do know that the King has been quite instrumental in the drive to achieve national development agenda that seeks to elevate Eswatini to a first world status. I will be joined by Eswatini TV senior journalist LinkedIn Gule. Lota highlight some of the developmental projects that have been born from Inhlakanipho yeNgwenyama in the last couple of years. Kanti-ke sisaqhubeka nalo lihlelo sitawuphinze sibuke yona indzaba ye vaccination lebitwa-ke nge-HPV vaccine. Siyathi-ke ukuthi ibelitiko letempilo basolo nje bavela lapha ehlelweni bakhulumisa yona indzaba yokuthi livela kangwane litawutfola yona i-game changer ye-HPV vaccine letawufike-ke ibe ihambise ema-strides elitiko letempilo katse ekutheni livela kangwane nalo selijoyina emavela amanyenti lasathuthukile ayitfola le vaccine. We did talk to Majori Mavuso lo representer-ke i-World Health Organization lapha eveni la Kangwane losichazele nje ukuthi yini ama-recommendations a-World Health Organization mayelana nalo mjovo lona, njengoba sathi-ke ukuthi lo mjovo utawujova abantwana besikolo labacala eminyakeni-ke leyimfica-ke eminyakeni lelishumi-4 9 to 14 years. Kutawuba-ke ngema-young girls njengoba baveta betempilo ukuthi i-cervical cancer ngiyo le prevalent kakhulu lapha eveni, but-ke to prevent it at early stages will be the best response to le nsinza bejasi lebhekene nelivela kangwane. Kanti-ke siphinde sakhulumisana noThuli Magagula lo yi-immunization coordinator ekutheni uma sebafika letikolweni njengoba bathi batawungenela tikolo telive lonke la Kangwane bawujova abantwana yini lebhekeke ukuthi abantwana bayadi nokuthi batali bayadi nokuthi nje uma babajova batawubajova kanjani, wachaza nokuthi batawu-reacta kanjani kule mijovo. They did demystify and demyth badibhanka onke ema-myths nema-misconceptions bantfu labangaba nawo mayelana nalo mjovo lona. Sitawukhulumisana nabo lihlelo lisachubeka kwanyalo sibahlule emakethe. Uma sibuya sithatha tindzabata lapha ekhaya.
Pay your TV license quickly and easily with MTN Momo. Simply dial *007 *3 hash and select option 8 for TV license. Enter your national ID number as your reference and the amount you wish to pay. Then enter your PIN to confirm your payment. Once your payment has been made, you'll receive a confirmation SMS of your payment. If you're a first-time payer, you get another SMS for your TV license. So legalize your entertainment from the comfort of your home. Pay your TV license the easy and convenient way with MTN Momo.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Asiphinze ke sinamukele ehlelweni kulesikhathi sanyalo sida uthatha indzaba talapha even. Lizinyane umfana Nkosi banzile lithi live leSwatini linematfuba lamaningi ekusita insha ukuthi itfutfuke iye embili. Lizinyane likhuluma ngesikhathi kunembukiso wetemakhono netekucecesha esikolweni lesikhulu sakalozitha. Lithe ngebuholi nangekuthi ke bebuhlangani bengwenyama yemaswati. Live linetinhlelo nemitsetfo lebekiwe ekusita insha ukuthi ibe nelikusasa lelichakazile.
Ukusheshe ubuke inhlobo temisebenzi noma teticude kufundza kuyasita kuniketa insha lithuba lekubona noma ukuthola ukuthi nguyiphi indlela lengafisa kuyilandzela kutekucecesheka. Lokhu kuphinze kusite ukuthi umuntu lomusha athathe isinqumo ukuthi nguliphi likolishi noma inyuvesi nemisebenzi lengafisa kuwenda. Bafundzi besikolo lesikhulu sakalozitha kanye nensha jikelele yendzawo yakalozitha babe nelitfuba laloluhlelo. Loluhlelo belukathe lilungiswe libandla le-Seventh Day Adventist ngekubambisana nelibandla letindzaba tensha ngaphansi kwelitiko letemidlalo, insha nemasiko kanye nelitiko letemfundvo. Lizinyane umfana Nkosi banzile likhuluma kulomsebenzi selikhutsate insha ukuthi uma ibuka tintfo temhlaba itawukwenciwa tibusiso. Lizinyane lithe insha ayigcine kuNkulunkulu inganaki tintfo temhlaba.
Live leSwatini ekubeni ukuthi babe nawo lama programs. Mina nje kungijabulisa kakhulu kubona lama programs la njena. Kusho kona ukuthi sidabanele kusasa lelihle singemaswati ngoba emave incumbi etema programs la kanje tele guidance ukuthi bantwana baguidwa kanjani kepha ke uNkulunkulu uthandzile level leSwatini akhona lama programs ikakhulu nje lebeka lanza indzaba yema-business ukuthi etingundleni niyakhona ukuya nibe lishumi nifike niqala ibhizinisi kanye kanye emacinisweni liphupho lengonyama lelo for emaswati emacinisweni leyo mali lefanda lama projects lawo aqhamuke kuhulumende aqhamuke Nkosi inyoni ithi amaswati akaphile etikwa lokho kuphinze futhi kukhothata imithetho lelishumi yaNkulunkulu ukuthi thanza amakhelwane wakho njengoba nawe utithanza naningabuthana nibe lishumi nithi awu lo sonke lapha sithanza ngiyabekisa ubuthishela singayivula njani institute sifundise abantwana ngiyabekisa nihlangane nibukisane kwentike leyo business plan niyimikise niyakhona konke ngoba nalo mgomo wakhona uthi equal shares kusho ukuthi nangithola 100 emalangeni nalo acile into uthola 100 nalo umuntu uthola 100 siphila sonke kanye kanye so ngiyacela ukuthi kulama programs onke wasebenziseni.
Lizinyane liphinze futhi laniketa umklomelo lomunye umfundzi lokhone kuphendvula umbuto lebewubute yona insha. Ngetulu kwaloko lo mfundzi uthole nelithuba lekukhetha uhlelo lokuceceshwa latawulenda ngekusitwa nangekusekelwa libandla lemasabatha. Emanyuvesi nemakolishi lakhona lapha eveni nawo atfole lithuba lekukhangisa ngeticu netifundvo lanato. Insha iphinze futhi yakhuthatwa yaphinze futhi yafundziswa kabanti ngemakhono kanye nekulolongeka kwabo. Lomunye wetikhulumo uDokotela Mkhonda uvete ukuthi inkinga lenkulu lekhungethe insha yelive leSwatini buvila. Mkhonda bekhuluma nensha kabanti ngenhloso yokufika kwayo emhlabeni. Etindzabeni kubika Pholile Maziya kalozitha.
Umhlonishwa Ndvunankhulu Cleopas Dlamini usukele kuleli lomuhla walibhekisa eveni leSouth Korea ngekumenywa ke nguNdvunankhulu wakulela live. kulela le Korean vunankulu utawubamba tinkhulumo nemlingani wakhe His Excellency Hen Duck-soo lapho batawuteka khona tindzaba tekubambisana emkhatsini kwalamave lamabili. Vunankulu kubhekeke ukuthi aphindze ahlangane nameya welidolobha leBusan City, mengameli wenhlangano lebuke kubambisana emkhatsini kweKorea kanye neAfrika kanye ke na Chancellor weJeonju Education University. Tindzaba kulandzela tinkhulumo letike tavela mayelana nekusebenta kwetimphunga kuleli. Mengameli wetimphunga Lindiwe Dlamini utsi ngaphambi kwekutsi isigaba sesine sephalamende el-11 siphele, timphunga tifundziswe kabanti ngemitsetfo lesakhankhanywa etemafa ema-finance bills. Leminye ke imitsetfo lesakhankhanywa beyisetigabeni letitsite khona ephalamende. Ngekusho kwembiko webetindzaba lotfunyelelwe ngumengameli wetimphunga Lindiwe Dlamini, leminye imitsetfo lesakhankhanywa beyisatekwa amakomiti. Leminye ke beyisesigabeni lapho khona sive netinhlangothi letitsindzekako tifaka imibono yato kuyo, kanti ke leminye beyisabukwa ngesicephu nangesicephu. Nakucala sigaba sesihlanu Dlamini utsi timphunga tigcile kakhulu kumaphakelo. Ngemuva ke kwekubuka emaphakelo indlu yetimphunga yakhe luhlelo lwekusebenta imitsetfo lesakhankhanywa lesengakasebentwa. Mengameli wetimphunga utsi kuhamba kahle kwema-bills akuyi ngekutsi timphunga tisuke tiphelele ngelutsi lwato yini endlini, kepha kuncike kakhulu nasekutheni leyo ndvuna legijimisa leyo bill ikhona yini endlini. Mengameli utsi kulamalanga letako indlu itawugcila kakhulu kuma-finance bills kanye ke ne-roads authority ne-education bills latawusetjentwa ngalwesine. Ngalwesihlanu timphunga titawusebenta i-national payment system bill. Mengameli wetimphunga wephetse ngekuchaza kutsi indlu yetimphunga itimisele kuhlahlela kahle yonke imitsetfo lesakhankhanywa kanye ke nekukhulumisana nato tonke tinhlangothi letitsindzekako. Mapalane wephalamende Benedict Xaba umemasive tinhlangano netinhlangothi letitsindzekako kutsi tibe yingcenye yemhlangano wekukweleka imibono ngemitselo lemibili lesakhankhanywa lokuyi-National Payment System Bill kanye ne-Reinsurance Bill.
Mapalane wephalamende Benedict Xaba umema eMaswati tinkampani letinye tinhlangothi kutsi tibe yingcenye yemhlangano yokukweleka imibono ngemitsetfo lemibili lotabe uchutshwa likomiti lelibuke kusebenta kwelitiko letemafa endlini yetimphunga. Embikweni lotfunyelelwe betindzaba mapalane wephalamende uchazile kutsi lo mtsetfo we-National Payment System Bill utawulisita live kusungula lihlelo lokubhadala lwahulumende leliphephile lihambelana nemigomo yelibhange lelikhulu lelive umjoli weMaswati. Xaba uthi lona we-reinsurance bill uhlose kuhlanganisa temshwalense kute tinkampani talapha event ikhole ukutfola umshwalense longabita imali lenkhulu. Xaba uthi eMaswati lafise kufaka imicondvo yawo ngale mitsetfo lemibili atsintse emapalane welikomiti letemafa ephalamende Treasure Sabelo Shabangu enombolweni lethi 7615858 noma ke eposini lembane lelithi treasureshabangu@gmail.com. Uthi langa lekugcina lokubhalisa kulabo labatawufisa kufaka imicondvo yabo ngulesihlanu mhla tinge-21 naseyigabence insimbi yesine entsambama. Mapalane wephalamende uphethe ngekuveta kutsi lemitsetfo lemibili yatfolakala eWebster Print eMbabane. Etindzabeni ye-Eswatini TV kubika Samkelisiwe Khoza seMbabane.
Nati tindzaba temidlalo. Umqeqeshi welikhethelo lesive lemidlalo wekubhukusha Welcome Mhlabatsi uthi emalungiselelo emidlalo yeKhana Zone 4 yalomnyaka losetulu akhomba kuhamba kahle futhi ke banalo lithemba lekuthi batawuphindze batfole timendlela njengoba benta eminyakeni lophelile nalemidlalo ibanjelwe eveni leZambia.
Live le-Angola kubheke ukuthi enyangeni letako lidlalisa imidlalo yeMakhana Zone 4 alonyaka. Live la kangwane laba yingcenye eminyakeni lophelile emave lenda kahle lapho khona labuya ekhaya netimendlela letahlukahlukene leyafaka ekhathi eligolide ngesikhathi lemidlalo ibanjelwe eveni laseZambia. Umqeqeshi welikhethelo lesive lemidlalo yokubhukusha Welcome Mhlabatsi uthe emalungiselelo alonyaka ahamba kahle futhi batimisele ukuthi baphindze babuye ekhaya netimendlela.
Ikakhulu is to maintain le fitness because once sabanalama gaps nalama breaks then isheshe bayiluze le fitness just to maintain the fitness kuba nale program lesolosiyenza just to maintain the fitness nalokuthi it also helps because there is a national team, it's kids from all over lama clubs lamanye, so it helps nalokuthi nabantwana bafike banabo babe nale bond before bahambe baye kulama games. And labanye abantwana okhanza ukuthi abekho eclubini yami ngibakocha so abangati, so it's time nabo ukuthi sikhona lokuba nale bond sinasamba sambe vele siyi team sesadala. Sathi nasicala la games lawa nakhumbula kahle, I think sawacala besiya bekusemaLawi asekabuya and we boheli ngicabanga ukuthi boheli hoye was still 9 years old, and sasho ukuthi sithatha a young team sifuna ukuthi si introduce saMalawi besingakagatsi lutho sayeNamibia sangagatsi lutho, but sasho ukuthi from Zambia sesiyaqala siyagatsa Zambia samedala nanyalo sikhathi ema medals le podium finish noma kanjani sitayithola.
Ngalo lelikhethelo litilolonga netinhlambi letifaka ekhatsi letilishumi nesithupha letichamuke emaqenjini lahlukahlukene lomdlalo lapha evenue. Ubikela umsakazo Eswatini TV kutemidlalo ngilinda Dlamini kanti umbiko uhlanganiswa nguFabrice Msonera eMbabane.
Ngwanelo muhle tingako talapha eveni talomuhla sibahlola imakethe uma sibuya sibuka lesichamuka ngephandle kwalapha eveni.
The mayor, deputy mayor, management, employees and the residents of the Municipal Council of Manzini would like to join His Majesty King Mswati III, Her Majesty Indlovukati and the entire nation in celebrating His Majesty King Mswati III's 55th birthday celebration. Bayete wenawa phakathi.
Welcome back. Let's take a look at our international news. Explosions rocked the Sudanese capital, Khartoum, on Tuesday, as fighting that has claimed nearly 200 lives entered a fourth day, despite growing international calls for an end to hostilities.
Smoke billowed into the sky of the Sudanese capital, Khartoum, on Tuesday morning, as a large explosion went off, momentarily interrupting a broadcast on Pan-Arab channel Al Arabiya. Fighting between rival factions, the National Army and the RSF paramilitary group is now in its fourth day. Scores of civilians and fighters have been killed and injured. As the fighting rages on, many residents are trapped at home.
The last few days have been pretty much all of us just staying inside, indoors, and trying to keep our sanity intact. Bombardments usually start around 4 a.m. and they continue on for a few hours, but today they haven't stopped. I don't know if you can hear from the background, but this has been the story for the past 4 days.
On Tuesday morning, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said that a U.S. embassy convoy had come under fire.
Of course, unsafe.
It's not an isolated incident. On Monday, the European Union said that its envoy to Sudan was assaulted in his residence. As the fighting rages, international heavyweights, including the U.S. and Egypt, have sought to bring the two parties together.
We're ready to mediate with our brothers in Sudan in order to reach a truce and have negotiations. This is still standing. Our contact with the Sudanese army and the rapid support forces is ongoing.
Despite the appeals, the Sudanese military promised in a statement issued late on Monday night to widen the scope of its operations against the RSF paramilitary group.
G7 foreign ministers warned on Tuesday that those helping Russia wage war in Ukraine would face severe costs as they offered a united front on another key policy challenge, China. After 2 days of talks in the bucolic Japanese mountain resort town, Karazawa, the top diplomats from leading economies unveiled no new sanctions on Moscow over its invasion, but pledged to crack down on those helping Russia evade the measures and acquire weapons.
Wrapping up talks in a Japanese mountain resort town, top diplomats from 7 of the world's leading economies put Russia and China on notice. In a final statement, the group promised anyone supporting Moscow's war would face severe costs.
We stand with Ukraine. And when the inevitable voices, led by a Russia that is losing its war of conquest, talk about avoiding escalation or call for Ukraine to stop reclaiming its own territory, we will remind the world who is the aggressor and who is the victim.
The G7 ministers also issued a warning to Beijing over its military activities in the South China Sea. The statement insisted their Taiwan policy has not changed, a response to recent comments from French President Emmanuel Macron, who controversially said Europe must not become just America's followers on Taiwan.
The G7 calls on China to act as a responsible member of the international community. We have reaffirmed that peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait is crucial, essential for the safety and prosperity of the international community.
Beijing, furious over the communique, called it arrogant and sinister.
The G7 meeting disregarded China's solemn position and objective facts, grossly interfered in China's internal affairs, and maliciously slandered and smeared China.
Russian President Vladimir Putin, apparently unmoved by Western criticism, has stepped up bombardments in Ukraine's east. Putin spent Monday meeting with his commanders in 2 Ukrainian regions Moscow claims to have annexed.
A Russian judge ruled on Tuesday that American journalist Ivan Geskovich must remain behind bars on espionage charges in a case that is part of Kremlin crackdown on dissent and press freedom amid the war in Ukraine. Geskovich and the United States government vehemently deny the allegations.
In a Moscow courtroom, looking tense and anxious and facing the cameras, Evan Gershkovich is awaiting his appeal hearing and paces back and forth, his future in the hands of a Russian judge. Prosecutors here claim he's an American spy. His newspaper and the US say it's a political show trial to crush questioning voices. Evan was detained on assignment in the city of Yekaterinburg in the Ural Mountains, then taken to Moscow accused of espionage over claims he tried to obtain classified defense information. The Wall Street Journal denies that and says he was covering the Russian mercenary group Wagner in the city. The Journal and international colleagues describe him as a trusted and dedicated Russian-speaking reporter. The US Secretary of State, speaking at the G7 summit in Japan, said Evan's case is a priority.
Ambassador Tracy and our chief consular officer were able to see Evan in prison in Moscow. I can report, based on what Ambassador Tracy has said, that he's in good health and good spirits considering the circumstances.
Since the start of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, there have been clear signs of the increasing clampdown on independent voices questioning the Kremlin. On Monday, the Russian dissident Vladimir Karamurza, who criticized the Ukraine war, was jailed for 25 years on apparent corruption charges. And Putin critic and opposition rival Alexei Navalny is serving a 9-year term, also on corruption charges. His condition is said to be deteriorating. Back in the courtroom, after a brief hearing, the court says it rejects Evan's appeal. He'll now face a full trial.
I can only say how troubling it was to see Evan, an innocent journalist, held in these circumstances. The charges against Evan are baseless, and we call on the Russian Federation to immediately release him.
The US says its special envoy for hostage affairs is now handling Evan's case and pushing for an end to his detention.
India and Russia are discussing a free trade agreement to guarantee investment between the two countries. Russia's deputy prime minister said this on Monday. Russia's Denis Manturov was speaking at an event in New Delhi with India's foreign minister S. Jaishankar, who said the South Asian country was in advance agreement for a bilateral trade treaty with Moscow. India has not explicitly condemned the war in Ukraine and has called for a peaceful resolution through dialogue.
On a mission to deepen bilateral ties, it's the goal of Russian and Indian diplomats as they meet in New Delhi.
We are discussing an agreement with India for free trade between the countries and also mutual investment protection in both countries. I'm sure that this kind of mechanism that guarantees the protection of investments will be very beneficial for both sides. We're also very interested in a quality increase in trade and cooperation.
It's the latest sign of cooperation between the two countries. For decades, India has imported military equipment from Russia. Last month, Russia overtook Iraq to become India's top supplier of crude oil. And in November, Moscow was reportedly looking to import more than 500 products, including cars, aircraft, and trains from the South Asian country. These are sectors in Russia that have been hard hit by Western sanctions. While most countries have denounced the Kremlin for its invasion of Ukraine, New Delhi has stopped short of condemning Moscow, calling instead for a peaceful resolution to the war. In fact, economic ties between the two countries have grown since the start of the conflict. Indian imports from Russia almost quadrupled to $46.3 billion in the year to March 31st. Boosting trade with Asian allies like India and China is part of Moscow's strategy to cushion the blow of Western sanctions.
French President Emmanuel Macron on Monday gave himself 100 days to heal the country after weeks of protests and anger at his unpopular plans to raise the retirement age, asking his government to open talks with unions on a wide range of issues. In a televised speech 2 days after signing into law plans to increase the retirement age by 2 years to 64, Macron said he wanted his prime minister to propose measures on working conditions, law and order, education, as well as health issues.
Has he found the words to convince the French public? On Monday evening, President Emmanuel Macron sought to appease an angry country just 72 hours after passing his controversial pension reform bill.
Is this reform accepted? Obviously not. And despite months of consultations, a consensus has not been found, and I regret this. We all must learn a lesson from this.
In Nice, the owner of this restaurant was hoping for conciliatory words from the French leader. After 3 months of strikes and protests, he hopes life will go back to normal. While he supports the reform, he regrets the way it was brought about.
I think the pension reform in the long run will be beneficial for the future of our grandchildren and for the generation to come. But this was not the way to do it. It was too brutal, imposed on us.
From the Élysée Palace, Emmanuel Macron says he wants to tackle several sectors: law, order, and as a priority, employment.
To improve the incomes of employees, to make careers progress, to better share the wealth, to improve working conditions, to find solutions to professional wear and tear, to increase the employment of seniors and to help with retraining.
In his speech, the president said he wanted to work with the different political groups. However, some of his opponents said they were unmoved by his offer.
Perhaps he wants to bring some people to the right, I don't know. But I think he doesn't realize that he's increasingly alone in the country.
The president has instructed his prime minister, Elisabeth Borne, to present a detailed action plan next week.
We have come to the end of our international news. We go for a net break now. When we come back, we speak to our senior journalist, Kusile, on the King's 55th birthday. Don't go away. Have a double celebration of 55 years of independence, as well as the 55th birthday of the monarch. This was disclosed by His Majesty King Mswati III during the official opening of the 5th session of the 11th Parliament. We have seen that the King has been instrumental in the drive to achieve the National Development Agenda, which seeks to elevate Eswatini to a first world status. Now, Eswatini TV senior journalist Kusile joins me now to highlight some of the developmental projects that have been born from His Majesty's wisdom in the last couple of years. Makwabane, a very good morning. Siyaxolisa kakhulu ukuvusa ekuseni. Siyathi ukuthi wena emsebenzini uyayongene makubumbana insimbi yesiphohlongo.
Siso asikufusele susele nemaswati labe kulomsakade namhla ekuseni.
LinkedIn, I've just, given an intro to ukuthi inkosi ngehlakanipho yayo ichubeka nekufuna ukuthi live la kaNgwane achieve the national developmental agenda, which is the first world status. But in the last couple of years we have seen unprecedented. The advent of the COVID-19 pandemic, which disrupted a lot of things. And while we were still limping from that issue, trying to put it to bed, civil unrest happened. Talk to me about what we've seen from the king in terms of his wisdom and his leadership during those difficult times.
Angicale ngimala ngokuthi nami ngihalalisele ingonyama emhlaba namhla njengemaswati onke. Kulolu suku layo lekudala sisikhula mlisa khula mbangazi that sisengikhumbula kahle bekungumnyaka wa 2020 bekunguMarch 10 p.m. local time lapha ku EBIS1 la director ka health anenduna yetempilo bebamemetela khona liswathi lekuqala lelabanjwa ngumkhuhlane iCovid-19. Then on the 16th of April nangikhumbula kahle we recorded our first death silivele Eswatini. Lento besikubuka khashane ma kwase kungena umkhono nesiphanga ngenhlakanipho yayo ingonyama sifiso lakhona ukuthi live lithekele tinzabeni tabo vaccines. Uyakhumbula ukuthi bekulukhuni kakhulu ukuthi emavele afana nasi la sathuthuka athole ama vaccines kumane ukuthi sigome nje ngale COVID-19 indzaba yetifonyo and so many other things, and his majesty was able ukuthi athekele emavele afaya khasi kubo Taiwan baqhamuka bo America baqhamuka nabo India ukuthi sibambisa ngendzaba yema vaccines. And sasese ingonyama imhlaba yethuma ke litiko letempilo lo 3 na hulumende kusenene asiyawusebenza nasesakhiwo lesilapha esiteki le referral hospital lese kungisona sasisidaekusenene emaswati lawo lasebagula kakhulu ngale COVID hamba ugcina lapha nelu commission lesinye sadlala lenkulu inzima sifisoekusenene emaswati akhone kuthola lusido base Taiwan bephinze basibambisa nasibedlela lesila imbabane nakhona kusinaso bas upgrade during lo 2 years we COVID. Sakhumbula ukuthi ingonyama emhlaba yasese ibeka ilontsha ke tikhwama tekuthenini maswati asikhone ukuthi si recover after ngoba lo 2 years isifiso konke bekumile not only in Eswatini but the world over live umhlaba beku stand still ngenza by COVID-19. Now we then had to recover. Ngikhumbula ukuthi nasimemetela ukuthi sesiyacikisa lapha nalapha. The question beyithi ke sesenda njani namaswati lamanye inzabatabole yof balahlekelwa ngemisebenzi kuma business lamanye avala lamanye tsika beteka nje ngendlela letiningi. But the king was then able ekuthenini akusibeke nathi khwama kunasikhwama lesilinganisela nje ku 1 billion emalangeni. Ngikhumbula kahle live le Taiwan lapho la contribute 300 million ekuthenini sikhone ukuthi umnotho recover. Ngiyakhumbula ukuthi kwathi nga 6 May 2021 i-World Bank ya-approve $75 million kuzama kusibambisa ekuthenini umnotho ukhone recover post COVID-19, and we've seen so many projects then lase ayaqhamuka nemaswati lamanye ayaqashwa. I think there are about kunema projects lamabili labita imali efika lapha kubo 11 billion laqashe 15,000 emaswati as we speak currently. Konke lokho kwaba ngiyo inhlakanipho yengonyama ekuthenini uyabona nalive le crisis that we then need a leader with a vision. We say nanoma kunje, but I'm seeing a light at the end of the tunnel, and that's what the king did.
Yeah, usathenza yona indzaba ye job creation LinkedIn ngiyafala ukuthi sikhumbule naleya 25,000 job let's prospectively kulo 60 billion worth of investments le ngonyama siyibonile vasha lamanye imave ngicanga beyipheketelwa futhi indvuna litiko trade minister
economic planning.
I think didn't let it critical kakhulu le LinkedIn, but I want you to also highlight indzaba civil unrest but the disruptions lefike yawenda. How has the king's wisdom and leadership been instrumental in the recovery from that?
We'll never forget the 12th to the 13th of April 2021. La kungakateleli muntu nje kwasuka lo mkhulu umsindo lapho kwalimala takhiwo lemonakalo akuzange kuthatha, I think probably in 72 hours so much was destroyed. Nakhona lapho ingonyama emhlaba sifiso yasimemetela sikhwama ngikusebenzisa yona indvuna yaka commerce ekuthenini eMaswati ngiyakhumbula nje ukuthi Swazi Bank yaseseyaniketwa umsebenzi ekuthenini Maswati ayawuqela uSito kusele commerce and the minister commerce wakhona kwabita emabhizinisi lapha etiko bengikhona kutawuva ekuthenini nilimele kangakanani nilimele kuphi singakusitwa kuphi bakhona ke kusitakala kuleyo COVID-19 recovery I mean kule civil unrest le fund le but what was very key ukuthi ngoyama yakuchazela ukuthi kunabosondonzima kunema SMEs even from the last speech from the throne lapha nakuvula the last session of the 11th parliament inkosi yakuchazela ukuthi asihambeni sayosita the SMEs le emakhaya yakubeka yakhumbula emavela afana nabo South Korea labafana nabo labo Taiwan economy yabo is being driven by the SME sector and that's what happened ekuthenini abangasaleli ngaphandle laba bema business lamancane nasisawuvusa lomnotho because those are the businesses that are going to drive the economy and sibonile ke Sifiso eningi lebedili mele abanye bebede lithemba lokuthi bangakhona ukuphefumula bakhonile kusitakala lapho enakhona lapho uhulumende ubese uyachubeka nekufaka ema loan bills eParliament iWorld Bank ngelinye libhange lelasibambisa nelibhange le Islamic Arab Bank bakhonile nabo ukuthi bafake isandla ukuthi sibambise ekuthenini leyo mpahla leyalimala ikhona ngikhumbula ke enhlangano nje minister wahamba advakashela titolo namhla timile enokuye lokusitile ke uyakhumbula ukuthi siphasise i-act le economic zones
yes citizens economic empowerment bill
yes netinye ke imithetho leyo lehlose usita eMaswati lela khona kuma challenges la nawe nasibuka indzaba the empowerment eMaswati kulelive
Lincoln, I think le bill oyishoko is one of ama-bill angi-excite kakhulu ekutheni ata-incentivize labo somabhizinisi labancane nalabanye nje eMaswati lafuna kungenela indzaba tebhizinisi ngijabule kakhulu nawuthi indzaba yokuthi livela kangwane lathola 300 million from Taiwan nawukhuluma nge-COVID-19 watsinza na 75 million esimthole through i-World Bank ngifuna singene etindzabeni tema-foreign relations noma ngithi bilateral relations Lincoln ngoba ngiyakhumbula ukuthi ingwenyama I think it was Taiwan nge-COVID-19 faka ima-medical supplies yaphinde yasithumelela nabodokotela kuleyo mnyaka loyo it was 2020 naka-announcer the late Prime Minister Manvulo Dlamini, may he rest in peace announcer ukuthi Taiwan has always been a nation that comes through for Eswatini kusho ingwenyama talk to me about ama-bilateral relations elivela kangwane
angicale ngalona lelo lithinzako lese Taiwan budlela lobudzala lobu createwa inkosi Sobhuza wesibili Sifiso bakhonile lokuthi basibambise okay, we are the only, I think we are one of 15 countries now, currently, in Taiwan. But we are the only country in the United Nations. La ingonyama emhlaba iphinze icele khona ku UN recognize Taiwan because kuningi emavela ngakuzuza ku Taiwan. Sibonile inkosi yakubo UAE ihamba yawuthekela lwathi kuyawulandzabo semabhizinisi labatawu invest eSwatini sinanaya lapha ipark lapha endasi ku RSTP le kungunyona park etawusebenta ekuthenini kube nema pharmaceutical industries and we do hope ekuthenini labo semabhizinisi nabo inkosi echubekayo bameme expect eSwatini batawufika batawusibambisa so in terms of ema bilateral relations ethu kunabo India bachubeka basibambisa in the education sector. Even South Korea bayasibambisa. There's the Prime Minister last week, I think it was Friday, bekalapha Medical Christian University kuya ku graduation. Budlela lobuhle belivele eSwatini netinini talo tangaphandle bo South Korea labete batavula na university lapha.
Yeah. Lincoln, unfortunately isikhathi sethu manisa sesifike ekugcineni kanzi bengifuna sisenale tindzaba njengoba sathi ukuthi ingwenyama ike yaveta in recent years ukuthi livela kangwane especially through Ministry of Commerce, Trade and Development ukuthi kufuna lento esho ukuthi a year like 10 factory shells indzaba lelo ta respond to the plight of the unemployed lapha kangwane some of the other things you were highlighting of indzaba yokuthi livela kangwane lisalwa ne-AIDS indzaba yethu sonke nalapho it was the King's Wisdom malaria fund LinkedIn unfortunately isikhathi sethu manje sesifike emaphethelweni but thank you so much for joining us lo mhla ekuseni makwabana
siyabonga kakhulu Sifiso sithi happy birthday your majesty.
Yeah, LinkedIn kule our senior journalist lapha ka Eswatini TV. What I love about LinkedIn ukuthi utakukhumbuta ngisho emalanga lapho khona lama events endeka khona for your reference. Noma ngabe so researcher sota usheshe ubone. Kanti ke LinkedIn nje letinye tinto laphinza abe kahle ngato ukuthi uyakutshela ukuthi I was there. Lokusho ukuthi une first hand experience. Lento la isho iliciniso noma ungathini. Asibuka kakhulu ke kuba naye LinkedIn. Nanami ke ngithi khula mbangazitha khula mlisa. Sibahlole imarket nasibuya sichubeka nelihlelo.
The Board of Directors, Management and Staff of Eswatini Tourism Authority would like to wish His Majesty King Mswati III a happy 55th birthday. Bayete, wena waphakathi.
The National Commissioner, Executive Command, all ranks and civilian support staff of the Royal Eswatini Police Service wish His Majesty King Mswati III a happy 55th birthday. Khula mlisa, khula mbangazitha. Bayethe wena waphakathi.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Good morning once again. Elangeni laitolo on Tuesday, the Ministry of Health Cancer Unit Control Unit yabo ba-announce kufika ke kwe-HPV vaccine elangeni ilanga lesibili lebeyisukela eveni laseJozi ngendiza. Bavetile lo ukuthi ke ifikile ke eveni la kaNgwane ngalo lusuku laitolo. Bakuveteke lokhu bathi it is a milestone for live la kaNgwane njengoba basolo basho nabafika lapha ehlelweni ukuthi le vaccine lena yitaba game changer in responding to the prevalent cervical cancer lapha kaNgwane leseyithethe imiphefumulo leminingi bathi ke lokhu kutawusitha kakhulu ekutheni impilo tebantfu tisesheke tibe saved. Bathi ke it's a proactive measure ekutheni batawujova abantwana labacala eminyakeni lengu-9 to 14 years. We were there mabenda ke i-media briefing yabo and we had an opportunity kukhulumisana na Majori Mavuso representer ke i-World Health Organization kusipha nje ma-recommendations ayo i-World Health Organization and to ascertain livela kaNgwane ekutheni lo mjovo uphephe kangakanani. Ake sesimuve Majori Mavuso akhuluma ngayo i-HPV vaccine lesayifikile lapha eveni la kaNgwane.
It's true that the World Health Organization is set to advise countries on the best way to reach the health for all. And it is also true that the more people vaccinate, particularly against the subject we're talking about here now, HPV, the more we get younger people who are not yet exposed to sexual intercourse get vaccinated, the more we are likely to increase the number of people who may not be found with cervical cancer in the long run. As WHO, we stand for this truth, and we are here to support the Ministry of Health in the country to roll out HPV together with other stakeholders. But the role of WHO in particular is to provide guidance, technical guidance on how technically to do it right. And we advise the Ministry of Health and they take their advice and operationalize it. We're looking at the rollout of the HPV vaccine as the best step forward, going forward in preventing the high prevalence and incidence of HPV in the country. And we congratulate the Minister of Health for taking such a bold step. And we would also like to encourage parents and young girls to actually take up this challenge and get themselves vaccinated, their children, and the children get vaccinated for all of us to realize the health for all. Yes, we have provided technical support in developing the guidelines of actually how the vaccine is given and when it is given, and what to look for when the vaccine has been administered. And also we're going to go ahead and train, once the vaccine is in the country, we're going to go ahead and support the ministry to train the vaccinators and the teams that will be going out there, and also to sort of assist them as they go about mobilizing the different stakeholders, which is the media, the senior staff in the ministries of health, ministries of education, and also the regional teams, as well as those that will be actually mobilizing the children and the parents to take up the vaccine. We already have guidelines that have been developed and standard operating procedures, and we are still going to do more in that line to make sure that these are internalized. The first target in this campaign is those girls. We have advised the Minister of Health that it's best to target those people that are not yet exposed to sexual intercourse, be they boys or girls. But for this, looking at the prevalence of cervical cancer amongst women, the ministry has resolved that in this campaign, which is just going to take about within a month, they should have vaccinated those girls that are 9 years to 14 years. But as the process, the vaccination goes forward, girls that are 9 years and over, every year they will have, those that are turning 9 years, they'll be vaccinated. And also boys will have to come in of that younger age also to be vaccinated. But that's what the Ministry of Health has resolved for now, that they start with the girls 9 to 14 years. Otherwise, the vaccine is probably may as time goes on, will be available to beyond that number of young people. In the guideline that we have developed for this campaign, we haven't gotten to that point as yet, and we are targeting all eligible young girls 9 to 14 years. And as the rollout moves on, we'll have specific guidance depending on what research is saying from the WHO hub. It will then be descended to the country to make a choice or decide what they do about those immunocompromised. And again, it might be very difficult to get immunocompromised people, and therefore targeting a wider number of people is best at this point in time. I think the Minister of Health will have to be guided on that. Already it is clear that it's best to target younger people, boys and girls, before they are sexually active. Once the person is older, the likelihood of having engaged in sexual intercourse or having any sexual engagement is higher, and therefore it probably might be more cost effective to target the younger population than the older population. But I think once the information is widely available, parents and individuals will make a choice based on the fact that the country has resolved this policy towards giving HPV. The HPV vaccine has proven to be safe. Research has been done, and there are different types of HPV vaccines that are out there, and they are being used in different countries, including the developed countries. And the WHO has given this assurance to the ministry, and the ministry has seen it fit to introduce the vaccine in the country.
Perfect. Loving those words from Jerry Eswatini. World Health Organization has certified the vaccine. Wagcizelela-ke nokuthi i-safe kangakanani, so livela kangwane. Sethemba ukuthi le uptake yayo le vaccination taba setulu kakhulu. On that note, it is very important ukuthi-ke sibese sitfola na Thuli Magagula lesikhona ukukhulumisana naye. She is the immunization coordinator. Kutabe-ke kungilaba laba on the ground uma bacala ukuchuba lo hlelo ngenyanga ya June. Ake sesimuve Thuli Magagula athenza nje indzaba yokuthi lo mjovo le rollout batawuyenda kanjani basajova abantwana esikolweni.
Emaswatini ngingasho lokuthi imijovo lesinayo kangwane iphephile. Even this one lotako lesugadzile nje namuhla ukuthi ufike kososukile eJozi nawo uphephile, uhloliwe, ucwaningiwe, and lamanye emave awusebenzisile like South Africa bawusebenzisile, and i-turn up yakhona yaba very high. So nathi siyacela ke ukuthi emaswatini akithi abavumele bafana ukuthi bawujove lo mjovo. Siyathi ukuthi with every drug kuba khona ama side effects laba khona, even with the vaccines nakhona akhona lele siwajwayele njengoba sike sisuka kubo COVID bantu bajovele babonile ukuthi ke kwenteke vele ukuthi kube buhlungu lapho ujove khona. Even now with this one lele stage of abantu abethu le HPV nayo kusikade ukuthi kube buhlungwana lapho khona sabajova khona abantwana baphathwe inhloko babe naso leso siyedi, but nje sikade ukuthi kwendlule if kungengcike ngilapho ke sesikhona umntali akamthatha umfana amlethe emtholampilo lodudane noma bashayele 977. Silomjovo lona ucalungiwe ukahle kude ukuthi sidabe sesithi bamfana basatfoli bantwana ekuhambeni kwabo kwesikhathi batochubeka nje bathole bamfana awuyikhozi i-infertility. Ngasho kanjalo ukuthi awuyikhozi i-infertility lo mjovo lona, futhi emaswati funa adi ukuthi lo mjovo lona awusiwe kuvikelisa labamfana because kuke kwenteka kulelinye live wakhanza ukuthi bajova abantwana bathi bantwana hayi sesivikelisiwe thina. Uyabona mfowethu lona wekuvikela ukuthi abantwana bangaphathwa ngumdlavuza wesibeletho naleminye imidlavuza lekhona. Awusiwe ba preventisa, awusiwe ukuthi sivala intalo, wekubavikela nje ukuthi later because live la ngwane liya strugglisha ngetindzaba te cancer sishiye tinhlobo tetletinengi, so sifuna kunciphisa lawo mathuba lawo sibantu abethu situkulana sethu lesitawo sibe cancer free generation. Ngilona ngumjovo njengaleminye imjovo kude ukuthi sekufuneka special diet or special what nje kwethu ukuthi batali basikhulumisele bamfa bethu babagcotele bamfana ukuthi bawuthathe lo mjovo nekuthi sicele batali ukuthi bayisayine phela le consent form kuze kuthi labamfana batojova bavikeleke kude loku special ukuthi singathi lona ufuna ute udlile noma ute ungakadli uyajova noma nini, but nje phela singasho ukuthi bamfana abangasuke emakhaya bangakadli funa badle bamfana kuze batovikeleke tifeni letiningi letinge bangakuthi abadli kahle. Sitojova bamfana bonke labakhona la eSwatini jabashide ukuthi 97% wabo usetikolweni, then 3% wabo ngenteka kube baphumile esikolweni ngetindlela letitsiteni letingabavelela bamfana ukhanza ukuthi kumbune luswane bathe ekhaya sekamunyise loswane mebhuna lo 14 years noma lo 13 years lo yona sekufike lesikhathi sekujova funa ajove. Sijova lo 9 to 14 years ema girls kwanyalo manifombatana bafana laba manifombatana kwanyalo litiko lesatawufuna lichubeke lifune imali later nalabafana nabo batojova bathi kwanyalo lo mjovo lona sijova nje manifombatana onke eSwatini la sukela eminyakeni leyifica kuya kule 14. Tikolwa bothishela konke kutafundisa sitabafundzisa nemango sitawufundzisa nje wonke umfulo khona laveni kuze ukuthi abe away ngalomjovo ati ngawo ati kabanti ngawo. Then ke etikolweni sitabaniketa schedule lesishoko ukuthi sikulesikole lesi sidanini nanini, then umntali atotilungisela umfana nakasuka ekhaya nekumthi amcwasile leyo consent form. So ngingathi nje sive sitawatiswa ukuthi sijova nini, then lemitfolampilo nawucala nje ngalamhla 1 utaba khona umjovo yonke lemtholampilo kuya kuba kumuntu but ngalo mjovo lona because sijova ehlombe la ngesenxele because imjovo yethu sijova ehlombe la ngesenxele sitabajova bamfana batochubeka bafunze because njoba sisho nje ukuthi lobu buhlungwana kuba buhlungwana nje baleso sikhashana leso then bese sekuyaphela akulast nabo 30 minutes nje le pain lele ukuthi vele uhlatshiwe because kuhlatshwa phela vele kubuhlungu but then bese sekuyaphela ke bese sekusala lokho ke lemisalela lokusayi ngiyeva ukuthi hayi ngeke ngahlatshwa but nje batojova bamfana bachubeke nemalessons abo nangabe kwenteka kumfana ativa ngathi akasikahle ukukhuluma nabothishela nabonesi batoyo bakhona because sina sithi jova uhlale 30 minutes sikubuka ukuthi kude nemivuka leba khona then after that na ukahle uyachubeka nemsebenzi yakho uyachubeka nje nangokonke lokwendako.
Thuli Magagula, immunization coordinator, uchaza kabantu ke kusile vaccine imcwa kangakanani even la kangwane. Just to highlight another important part of the vaccine is that cancer unit attends 500 patients a year and kushona banlabang 400. We have come to the end of our show, and from myself Sifiso Ngumalo as well as the Kusile breakfast show crew yonke nje sifuna ukuthi khula Mlisa khula Mbakazitha sikufisela usuku loluhle kusuku lakho lokudala nelolutse sinisale kahle.
The board, management and staff of Eswatini Communications Commission would like to wish His Majesty King Mswati III a happy 55th birthday. Lunolelo Lutse Mbangazitha, Baete, Wena Phakathi.
Parliamentary Service Board, parliamentarians and staff of the Parliamentary Service join His Majesty King Mswati III in Lovugazi and the entire nation in celebrating His Majesty's 55th birthday. Let us make 2023 a year of turnaround, abounding in peace, tranquility and success in our beautiful kingdom. Lunwelelo Lutse Mbangazitha.
The board, management and staff of Eswatini Communications Commission would like to wish His Majesty